What is the rudest thing anyone has ever said to your face? I got cancer because I was too busy taking care of you to take care of myself. I don't recommend trying this on your kids at home. My mom would blame me for her miss when I was a teen and said on numerous occasions that she hopes I get it too. I've accepted that she was just angry at the world, felt totally helpless and had no one to blame for her disease. I think she wanted me to get it so I can understand the heck that she was going through and feel bad about how I was acting. But, frick, that was terrible to hear. About a year after having a car accident and becoming paraplegic, was 13 at the time and talking to a friend about general life stuff she was worried about. I told her not to get too stressed about things and that I'd be sure she'd do great. Her reply was, well, you don't have to worry about these things anymore. My mom says you'll always get what you want now because people will feel sorry for you. One stupid comment that has always made me evaluate everything and everyone around me. Am I doing well and making friends because I deserve it? Or are people acting this way cause of the pity bus? As I've gotten older I know it's cause I rock everything I do. But those high school years, man. Upvoted. But I'm not going to tell you if it's because you deserve it or because I feel sorry for you. I am of Arabic descent. After the 11th of September I was bringing in a big box to a guy at work who just had a kid. It was a stroller, all wrapped up and a nice bow. I get in the elevator, and this lady turns to me and says, I can't believe they let someone like you in the building with a box, and immediately left the elevator. Every time I would see after that, I would pretend to answer my phone and very loudly say Assalamu alaikum my brother. I'll bet she felt pretty freaking smug about that for the rest of the day. Could be that in her sad little world she still tells that story as the day she stood up to the terrorists. Walking into a men's retail store, sales guy approaches him. Hello, is there anything here you can that you're interested in? I still cringe when I see their ads on TV. It's ironic because they work in retail. Flashes strobe light in my face, we don't want you here. Can you just seize and die already? I was diagnosed with epilepsy as a kid, and since then it hasn't really been too much of a problem. I keep on top of my health and I'm fine. Of course, going to college and attending parties. I don't drink. Don't want to risk getting too inebriated and having a seizure. Very few friends actually know the truth, but the consensus is pretty much known by everyone that brain fart over doesn't have more than one drink, if at all, and to leave the little crap alone. So, this gets around that it's the main reason why I don't drink, so now it's almost common knowledge. I'm with a group of people, and for whatever reason I'm real annoying to this one butthole. He take his flashlight, waves the beam in my face, to which I say not cool, and he says this. Yep, I walked away. I don't really know what happened after, but he's a real douche, known by everyone. When I was pregnant, I went to an office party that was held at an indoor pool. There was a hot tub, and I sat on the side in my suit with my 5-month pregnant belly, wishing I could get into the hot water. The cute co-worker looked at my belly and said with a smile, if I ever look like that, somebody shoot me. Another co-worker answered her, why don't I just shoot you now? The cute co-worker laughed, as if it were all a joke. I didn't care. The cute co-worker was a bad designer, and I was a good one. Cute doesn't last forever. Not so much said, but done. I was working at a swimming pool store, where I often have to load 50-80 pounds bags of sand chemicals into people's cars for them. I am a small, not terribly unattractive girl, and I often had creepy old men stand back and watch me load these heavy bags into their trunks. Not a big deal, they're old. The one that got me was a very muscular guy in his 30s. Very capable of loading the 4 or so bags into his car, but he didn't. He stood there with his arms folded and watched me load every one. After I was done, he threw $2 on the ground, told me to pick it up and buy myself something nice. For the record, I didn't pick it up. Said by a self-righteous black woman while I working part-time for a university during orientation weekend. Comprendo, chica, you're in America now. You need to learn how to speak English. Then maybe one of your babies will make it to college like my baby did. I am not Latina, or of Latin American heritage. I was born in America. English is my first language. I was a college student at the time. I've since graduated. It's less about me being offended, I suppose. I was just shocked that someone would ever be that big of an ashat to a complete stranger. I was working the front desk at a hotel when a sassy black woman told me, "You people need to learn to speak English." I calmly told her to get out, when she flipped out and said, verbatim, "Oh no, you didn't. You better watch your back, BC. My nephew knows the sheriff in town." I laughed. I had just gotten off a red-eye flight and was in the airport bathroom brushing my teeth. When I spit it out, I still had some toothpaste on the side of my mouth. Some snobby lady looked over at me and said, "It looks like you have a little left over on your mouth from your last client." I calmly wiped my mouth, turned to her and said, "Yeah, your husband doesn't have the best aim, does he?" Then walked out of the bathroom. Boom. Row, you can count. From a douchebag customer at my work. Background: I work as a hostess at a restaurant. When customers come in, it is my job to ask how many or say something along the lines of, "Just the X number of you today." The reason we ask is because we don't know if you will have more joining your party or not. This allows us to seat you at an appropriate table to accommodate for the number of people you will have. I am not incompetent and can count well, so don't be an butthole to me just because I work in the food service. When I see you dancing, I wish your mother had you aborted. Quoth my girlfriend. Nevermore. My father committed suicide when I was 11 years old. My uncle, my mom's brother, and I got in a fight when I was maybe 13. He said to my face, "Why don't you kill yourself like your dad did?" I then shoved him through the front door and onto his butt. Felt good. I hope it was a glass door. The fact that people can single out the one most offensive thing anyone has ever said to them really makes me think I've existed around a great deal of horrible people. Maybe you're just an enormous ass ranger. I had my daughter before I met my husband. She was 2 when we started dating. Due to some insane reaction to the depot shot, I am not able to have any more kids. We have been trying for 11 years. It has been an emotional roller coaster. He was okay with it and has always said our daughter, he adopted her, was all he needed, and it doesn't matter if she is biologically his or not. One day, about 5 years into our marriage, me, my husband, and my friend were visiting a friend in the hospital who just had a baby. On the way there we were discussing how sad we were that the fertility treatments have not worked. In the elevator, my friend piped up and said, "Don't worry, if she can't give you a baby, I can." He promptly told her how rude she was and she needed to find a ride home because she wasn't coming with us. She didn't get off of the elevator and left. I didn't speak to her for months. She still hasn't apologized. I'm Asian. You eat cats for breakfast, dogs for lunch, and frick a calculator while playing your stupid butt piano. It's okay, man. Your piano is not stupid. You think you're so fricking smart. You think you're too good for my family. Well, guess what? He's a fricking loser anyway and you'll be divorced in a year. This was from my husband's stepmother at our wedding shower in 2001. We've been married 12.5 years now and she was divorced from his dad about 2 years after that incident. My wife was stressing about some little detail that I can't recall right before our wedding, and her mother said, "Don't worry about that. You can do that differently at your next wedding. We have been married 15 years. Sometimes families can be ruder than anyone else. Freaking families." I don't worry about cute and creepy. I just know she'll be dead of AIDS by the time she's 25. Yep. Thanks for that, Dad. BTW, I'm way older than 25, and I don't talk to my dickhead father. Oh, you graduated from college, huh? So then why are you stuck here, working at this tiny little library? It's called being employed. B. Sounds like a good gig, actually. Well, I know this wasn't said to my face, but it is the rudest thing anyone has ever done to me. I was walking down the street in NYC when I heard a lady walking by me sneeze loudly. All of a sudden, I feel hands wipe across my shoulder. I quickly turned to my wife and asked, "Did that lady just sneeze and then wipe her hands on my shirt?" My wife, looking astonished, just shook her head up and down. I turned around to see if I could see the lady, but it was a busy street and there I stood with someone else's snot on my shoulder. I went to renew my driver's license at the DMV. The women at the counters called me a mail-ordered bride. They were in such shock when I began talking in English. This was just a few weeks ago. My band was playing a show out of town. It was a small AIDS benefit show, only about 15 people in attendance, but we were more than willing to do it because A, it was an AIDS benefit, and B, a band we're friends with was also playing. Our lead singer couldn't make it, so the rest of us decided to split up singing duties. I play bass and had never sang while playing at the same time before, so they only gave me one song to sing. I practiced a good amount during the week and felt ready. The night of the show came and we listened to our friend's band, then we went on. It went okay, not great. It was a little sloppy, but we were just trying to have fun. The time came for my song, and I gave it my all. I don't feel like I have an incredible voice, but it's passable and I really did try my best. I thought I did okay. Pretty much everyone clapped, but one girl in the crowd clearly said, "I'll remind you that there was only like 15 people there, so it was fairly intimate and you could hear everything." That was freaking horrible. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, but this was a benefit show. We were doing it for charity. I was more shocked than anything. As soon as our set was done, I grabbed my stuff and immediately drove home. I put a lot of effort into it and was extremely nervous. I couldn't believe someone could have the audacity to say something like that. On a side note, one of the guys in the band texted me after the show and said that they had talked to the girl and she claimed that she said that was freaking adorable. This obviously wasn't true, as there were interactions after she said that proving that she clearly said horrible, but I knew that the guys just knew I was upset and were trying to make me feel better. I appreciated the gesture. You have good friends. My teeth aren't perfect, and I don't care much. When they came in, they had these god-awful stains. Dentists, excessive brushing, white strips, you name it. I've tried it. Well, when I was a cashier, this M-head walks in and goes through my line. Just bought a snack or something small, looks at me and says in her raspy, decrepit voice, "You really need to go see a dentist because your smile is horrendous." Now, okay, fine. Frick you too, lady. I smiled a big smile, thanked her for her concern, and she left. Wouldn't have been so bad if she actually had teeth. From what I saw, she had 4, and they were black and gross. Now, mine aren't porcelain veneers by any means. They're white, but an off-white due to the mysterious stains. That's fine. No girlfriend I've ever had has ever complained about them. I just couldn't believe she had the audacity to do that to me. When I'm gone, you'll put your poor sister in a home where people will abuse her. You're a piece of crap, sister. She deserves better. Said by my mother. I was 8. My sister has Down syndrome. I love my sister, and I have never treated her wrong. My mother said this because I was pissed that I had to cancel plans with my friends because my mom and dad wanted to go out on date, but couldn't leave my sister alone. I still haven't forgiven her for it. It wasn't to my face, but it was still the rudest thing I've ever seen heard. At the grocery store I work in, we have a transgender employee who works in the bagel department. She, formerly he, was working one morning when a middle-aged man strolled up while sipping a coffee and casually asked, 1. Do you have any more salt bagels? 2. Can you toast my bagel for me for free, or is there an additional fee? 3. Did you used to be a man? She sort of paused after the third question, shot him a really pee-off look and said, "Excuse me?" The man asks her again super slowly, "Did you used to be a man?" She says it's none of his business, and he says, "Of course it's my business. You're preparing my food. I need to know if you're clean. That crap is disgusting." She left her station crying. He was asked to leave. What an epic scene. I hope he was permanently banned. Make sure you study hard or you'll end up working a crappy job like this man. Said very loudly and obviously by a middle-aged lady to her equally pretentious and rude son. Frick you, lady. I'm working a crappy job as a waiter so I afford to complete my degree. You, on the other hand, clearly don't work and have no clue about how difficult it is for people in the real world. I worked an election poll this year. One of the ladies at a booth called me over saying the machine wouldn't accept her vote. I calmly explained that some of the machines have been acting up and a technician is on his way. I offered to move her to a different machine. She yelled as loud as she could, "You pieces of crap put me on a broken machine." I told her I was sorry and moved her to a different machine. After she finished voting, she came up to me and yelled, "What is your name? I'm going to report you." I told her my name calmly and asked if there was anything else I could do. She replied, still yelling, "Yeah, tell me the number of the dang machine I was put on." I told her machine 3. She grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me to the machine and told me to pull up the serial number. I inserted the peb into the machine and the serial number came up. She wrote it and my name down. She left yelling, "I'm going to report you and sue you for everything you got." I replied, "Have a nice day. Thanks for voting." Poor lady didn't even her sticker. 2 years ago I probably would have argued back. I'm used to it now though. I live in SE, and most of the people who go to my voting precinct are angry old rednecks who just want to make everyone's life heck. So much for southern hospitality. I would have been fine until she touched me, then there would have been a problem. I was 16 years old in a store one time looking through a case of cameras. I heard a female voice say, "What about that one?" I looked up in time to see 2 high school girls say WW and walk on laughing. I'm 25 now and my confidence is still crushed. Speaking as a former teenage girl and current mother of one, I apologize on their behalf. Teenage girls are obnoxious, horrible people, and they likely would now be horrified by their behavior. Just like my daughter will one day be when I remind her that on the 18th of December 2012, she threw a hissy fit over a goddamn glue stick. Senior year of high school, our house burned down. We lost 3 cats in the fire. Classmate says about my house, "Oh, good, maybe there's no more cat smell." So disrespectful on so many levels. And he wasn't even trying to be offensive. My youth pastor told me a week after my gay brother died that God had smited him because he was gay and deserved to burn in heck. So I broke his nose and haven't been to church since. The fact that you broke his nose makes me happy. Not super rude, but my husband told me once, "You could burn lots of calories a day if you do more housework." He only said it once. I'm a widow now. That escalated quickly. My little sister died when she was around 2 months old, and soon after we buried her we went to a family gathering. My aunt's boyfriend turned to my mum and said, "Why didn't you bring the baby? We could have put her on the barbecue." He was a horrible guy. Holy crap, I hope your dad killed him. She said she could tell I was wearing a padded bra. It was the second thing she said to me, following, "Hi, I'm so and so. My eyes are up here." My ex's mom told me she didn't want me to marry her son because she didn't want ugly leprechaun grandbabies. Now he'll never get my Lucky Charms. I reconnected with a girl from high school a couple of weeks ago. Right off the bat she said, "Yeah, you look great. You're like, not weird anymore, and you're kind of hot now and stuff. Back then you were like an absolute creep and not attractive at all. I definitely tried to avoid you and basically just kept throwing compliments my way, but the most insulting compliments I think I've ever received." Then I asked her if she liked Phil Collins. A couple of girls and guys in my class were joking around talking about crap about girls and guys and were just laughing at each other. Then I said something. One of the girls then said, "And that's why you don't have a girlfriend." Everyone laughed. I laughed, but I was deeply hurt. What made it worse is that all of them are in long-term relationship and are happy. It also made me realize how bad I am at socializing because I never seem to get into the groove with other people's conversation. Girls and guys in my class, you're young. Be patient. It isn't a long-term relationship until the 5-year mark. Move along, citizen. A hippie wannabe screaming at me and several of my troops that we should have just died over in the Middle East. This occurred in a crowded airport, as many of us were being welcomed back met by family. What a shitfuck. Even if you're anti-war, at least be civil about it. A stranger told me to hurry my fat butt up as I was trying to maneuver through a transit turnstile carrying a very cranky and wiggly 1-year-old and grocery bags. I have a long beard. After 9/11, a few people said things like, "How's it going, Osama?" After this happened a couple of times, I decided I was going to insult back with the worst ethnic slur I could muster. The next time it was a black gentleman who said it to me. I replied, "Could you repeat that in?" I did not catch it. He was clearly P. Took a step towards me and said, "What did you say?" I said, "Look N. I did not clearly hear what you said to me. Could you please repeat it?" He looked like he was about to take a swing at me, and then you could just see the light bulb go on. He apologized and walked off. One of the few times I have ever seen the word used and found it completely just. Good for you. "No one will ever want to have sex with you. You're so ugly." Yelled at me by a fellow classmate in year 5 primary school while the class was on the way to the swimming baths up the road. Swimming baths. You non-American folk have some interesting noun combos. I like it. Having supper with my boyfriend's family, I mentioned how I wanted to be a tattoo artist. His parents do that high class laugh every rich person must practice, followed by, "Well, I guess you could use a hobby." Pee me off. Only my parents are allowed to crush my hopes and dreams. I hate how cocky you've become. I had just decided that I would be more confident rather than beat myself up every day. Turns out people do it for you. My 5th grade math teacher pulled me to the front of the class when I didn't have my homework on my birthday. She at the time was my favorite teacher, so I assumed now she had something going on in her life and realized later the mistake she made. She essentially yelled, berated, and put me down for my weight. She also read off every single demerit I had received in any given class over the course of the year. Once I got to the point that I was crying, she grabbed me and a chair, dragged me out into the hall, shoved me into the desk and continued until she was red in the face and out of breath. I was at a really bad place in school and outside of school and utterly hopeless and sad when at the time I couldn't understand how I felt, even just that it hurt badly. TLDR. Favorite teacher berated me in front of the class on my birthday until I cried, then shoved me into a desk in the hallway to continue until she was out of breath. Some jackass once told me in high school that my nose was as big as his dong. Told him it must be pretty freaking small. I once worked for a company that had a lot hires from exclusive private schools. During a random conversation about a TV show, one turned to the others and mocked me. Keela didn't know who the main character was, then turned to me and almost spat. "Humph. Public school education, ha 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 ha." My salary at the time was the same as hers, and within a year, it was higher. So, yeah, that's where public school education got me. I'm 19, and I have a sister who just turned 21. For her 21st birthday, I saved up and got her a diamond-studded flask at a department store. Some terrible woman in the line behind me scoffed and said, "Huh, that's great parenting." I proceeded to lie and tell her that my parents were dead. The look of horror and incessant apologizing more than made up for her bitchery. D. "You always wear that coat." They said it as though I never wash myself. I'm so sorry, I don't have a jazzy arrangement of coats for every day of the year. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.